All right. It looks like we are live. What is going on, Bree Hive? Welcome back to another lovely Tuesday live stream. How was your weekend? I can let you know that Mr. Edelson's weekend was probably like okay, but probably not that good, or maybe it was good. And then yesterday happened. For those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, we have been covering a murder trial. Oops, I forgot to say an elimination trial of a dentist who was accused of eliminating his brother-in-law. And he had 3 charges brought against him. It included eliminating his brother-in-law, conspiracy to commit eliminating his brother-in-law, and also the hire for elimination of his brother-in-law. And yesterday, it was kind of a short trial, but maybe not really. I think it was 7, 8 days was when the verdict came out. The jury came to a decision quite quickly. If you have been watching the channel for the last week, or about a week or so, you know that we are covering the Charlie Adelson case. Like I said, he was accused of eliminating his brother-in-law, Mr. Dan Markel. So sadly, but the jury came back with a verdict, which you guys can probably tell exactly what it is based on the thumbnail that we have on YouTube. Go ahead and comment in the chat if you know whether Mr. Adelson was found guilty or if he is innocent. And I don't know, Kimmy, can we do a poll? Can we do a poll on YouTube to see if you guys knew the answer? So let's go ahead and see who is watching live. We got a couple of people popping in on TikTok. So hello, TikTok. We are back live over there. And hello to YouTube. If you are here watching live, make sure you hit the like button. It helps us out in the algorithm. And we're trying to get more friends here in the Bree Hive. If you are not subscribed yet or following yet on TikTok, make sure you go ahead and hit the follow button or the subscribe button so that, again, we can have more friends and you can see more content like this. Now, I made a big mistake today by wearing this sweater because I'm already hot. So hopefully I can make it through the live stream. Let me just check this private chat. Yes, I got the spreadsheet for the timestamps. We're going to bounce around a little bit in closing argument just to kind of get an idea of what has been going on. And guys, I really did do my homework this weekend. I told you guys I was going to listen to the trial and take notes, and I did listen to the trial and take notes, but I only made it through day 3 and partially into day 4. So I am still preparing the notes for that. Hopefully, Kimmy and I will be able to get a slideshow going so that we can go through the whole trial without the Bree Hive having to sit through 8 days of trial and the slow talking of the attorneys. I watched it on 1.5, 1.75, 2 times speed to get through the trial for you guys. So I have 4 more days to go, and then I will give you guys kind of the breakdown of what actually happened in the trial. So today, live stream is going to follow. We're going to do a Reddit story because we have not done that in about a week or so. We're going to do some Reddit stories, or just one. Then we're going to go into the Adelson trial, and then we're going to jump back into a Reddit story, and then we're going to finish. And I'm saying the Adelson trial, but we're going to be looking at closing statements because shockingly, the case is already over. Let me go ahead and jump in the chat over on YouTube and see who's watching live. If you're watching on the replay, make sure you comment below and let us know that you're watching on the replay. And also, don't forget to hit the like button. So let's see here. I'm talking fast. I need to slow down. I felt hot already. So we have Mary Malarkey saying, I had a company over for dinner, just cleaned up, and I'm exhausted. A Bree Hive live stream is just what I need. Well, welcome in, Mary Malarkey. Nice to see you again this evening. I hope your dinner guests were lovely. I hope they were nice and they didn't make too many dishes for you, or you didn't make too many dishes for yourself. Tanya D, a member and moderator of the channel, saying good evening to Mary. Hello, Tanya D. Welcome into the live stream. Nice to see you. Tanya D also reminding us, welcome to the Bree Hive. Be sure to buzz by and hit the like button on your way in. Yes, of course. Thank you for the reminder. Guys, make sure you hit the like button. It helps us get friends. And this is a pretty good case that we're going to be looking into. Don't know how I'm going to go into it, but we're going to get into it. Mary Malarkey saying hi to Tanya D. Kimmy Locker saying hello, Bree Hive, our member, moderator, and paralegal of the channel that helped me find the timestamps because I have just been watching it on 2x speed while I work and do cleaning and all of the things. So thank you very much, Kimmy. Nice to see you tonight. Kayla Aloy said hello. Welcome back into the live stream. Nice to see you. Tanya D saying shout out to TikTok with the pink waving hand. Yes, we have 3 friends now over on TikTok, but I don't expect it to stay pretty long. Hello to everyone over on TikTok. B. Quinn says, I did not know this had gone to trial. I followed it until they finally caught him. I learned about it from our lovely Bree Hive community. I did not know this case was going on. And like I said, the first day that we covered the trial, this is something that I would usually be paying attention to, but this happened way back in 2014. Maybe I was too busy living my college life to ever notice that this happened. And it was also in Florida, and I was nowhere near Florida. So I did not know this was going on. And guys, guess what? They actually have Catherine McBanois, which Kimmy, you're going to see me spell her name a million different ways, all the wrong ways in my note. It's not even the right name that I'm using. But Catherine Vanois, the ex-girlfriend of Charlie Adelson, who he allegedly or today was confirmed to hire to help him find someone to commit the elimination. They actually have her trial on YouTube as well, and I think it was like 5 days. So it may be something that we can also take a little peek into. I don't know if it's worth it, but we can potentially look at it. Tiny D says the trial moved pretty quickly. It did, although they were speaking very slowly, they did get through it pretty quickly. Kimmy Lockett says to Tanya D, the trial moved quickly and the jury deliberation moved insanely quickly. Yes, of course. If you guys missed the beginning of the live stream, the jury deliberated. They only took 3 hours. Closing arguments took 3 hours. I think it might have taken longer than 3 hours. And the jury decided like, no, you're guilty. Giving it away, but it was already on the thumbnail, so I'm not really giving it away. They went ahead and said, no, you're guilty. 3 hours. And I saw Kimmy put a comment on the membership or the community tab of, or was it Tanya D? I think it was Tanya D that put a comment on the community tab that defense attorney, Mr. Rashbaum, I think that's how you say his name, he was making smirks and laughs, but so was Charlie. Like, this guy really thought he was going to win. And I'll tell you the truth, I felt like he was guilty from the beginning. I could be easily persuaded. I don't know, but I felt like he was guilty from the beginning. So let's go ahead and look at the poll in the chat on YouTube to see what everyone else thinks about whether Charlie Adelson should have been or should be convicted for the elimination of his ex-brother-in-law. We have says, what's the Adelson verdict? We have 0% with I don't know, it's not guilty, or I know it's not guilty. We have 14% saying I think it's not guilty. We have 14% saying I think it's guilty, and 71% saying I know it's guilty. So the highest vote in the chat was 71%, knowing that it's guilty and he was actually convicted and found guilty on all 3 counts, which is elimination. And when I'm talking about elimination, guys know I'm talking about murder. But YouTube doesn't like that. They don't like that word. So elimination, conspiracy to commit elimination, and elimination or elimination for hire. He hired someone to do this thing. And I really didn't know in a lot of states, or I don't know if it's a lot of states or if it's just Florida, that you can be guilty for conspiracy if you just do the, I guess he did conspire and he did hire and he participated throughout, from what the evidence showed. So I thought that if you did like elimination for hire, then you couldn't be convicted for conspiracy, but I guess I was completely wrong because that happened here. So let me go ahead and pull up our Reddit story to start us off, kind of get us on a little bit of a more light stepping that we have. We're going to look at a little bit of the opening of the prosecution's closing argument, and then we're going to look at some of Rashbaum's open or closing argument. And let me tell you guys, I I've watched 3 full days of this trial. Well, I didn't do the whole opening statement. I didn't watch that whole thing. But we watched it. What we watched on our channel last week was the opening statements. That's as much opening statements as I watched, but I did go back and watch all of the witnesses that testified on the first day, the second day, the third day, and I am now on the fourth day trying to get some things. Today I took a little break because then I listened to closing arguments so that I can have comments for you guys today. And let me tell you something about Rashbaum. Well, let's go back to prosecution attorney. I really thought I wasn't going to like her because she's just like so abrupt and kind of quick, but I ended up liking her. She did a pretty good job. Rashbaum, on the other hand, came off as arrogant. He didn't object to anything. Like, I was just like, you are literally letting everything in. And I get their point. Like, yes, we're not contesting the fact that Dan Markel was killed. We're not contesting any of that. But he basically didn't even cross-examine like half the witnesses. Like, he was just like, no questions. No questions, which we'll get into on Thursday a little bit more about his strategy in all of this and the way he came across. But I did see Adelson and his attorney, Mr. Rashbaum, kind of snickering and making faces. Like, they both came off very arrogant throughout the whole trial, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and jump into Reddit. I know we are taking a little left turn, a hard left, to kind of get on a better little mood. And then we will go into prosecution's closing arguments because they went through the whole trial and it's now time to close the trial. We are on Reddit. When I finally share the screen with you guys, when I finally get to the stories that we need, we are going to be on Reddit. We have a couple of Am I the A-hole stories for those of you watching on TikTok. And for those of you watching on YouTube, make sure you comment. Who do you think is the a-hole in the situation? So let me get my screen to... Actually, I'm not going to share my screen. So everyone's going to have to listen along to my read along, and hopefully I can actually read today. And I just kind of clicked on this and didn't realize how long it is, but we'll be in it for the long run, okay? Okay, so we are going to vote on, am I the a-hole for telling my stepdaughter that her birthday is canceled? I don't know. Why are you canceling stepdaughter's birthday? My husband has a 7-year-old daughter from his previous relationship. My husband and his ex had a bad breakup since she was also in a relationship with someone else and thought that my stepdaughter was his. Oh, okay. So ex got pregnant, was in another relationship, and thought that her husband was the dad. Is he not the dad? This is messy already. I'm only 2 sentences in, okay? She broke things off with my husband. He and I were already in a relationship when he had to take a paternity test and found out he was the father. Her mom also has a problem with me because she thought that my husband because she thought that my husband would get back together with her. So she was over there doing some things. They broke up and now she wants him back because he's the actual father of the child. X has 3 other kids with her partner. Okay, X has 3 other kids with her partner. When she was pregnant with the third one, my stepdaughter came to live with us because there was no room for her at her mom's house. At the time, we had a lot going on, just bought a home, and we're in the middle of renovations. We stayed in the house to save money. It wasn't a livable situation for a 4-year-old, but decided to take her in anyway. We went through tough times with her during these 3 years, and everything just became stable. Our home is finished, and financially, we are doing well. I'm currently 5 months pregnant, and though it wasn't a planned pregnancy, my husband and I are happy about it. However, my stepdaughter is not very excited about a new sibling. She even asked my mom if we would send her away now that we were having a baby. That is so sad. Like, because her mom basically did that to her. Her mom had another kid and just shipped her off to live with her dad and her stepmom. So that's very sad that the child would even say that. Someone at her school told her that she might be sent away because we wouldn't care about her with a new baby in the house. and she worried that everything will change again. That's very sad. My husband and I decided to throw a big birthday party for her to make her feel special. Everything has already been planned and paid for by my in laws and parents. Her birthday is on the 22nd and her party is on the 25th. She had her weekend with her mom and usually, or she had her weekend with her mom and usually she gets dropped off at my in-laws' home. So I'm never in contact with his ex. The Sunday let me get my life together. This Sunday ex dropped her off at our home and yelled at me about the party. She said a bunch of horrible things about my family and that she would send people to disrupt the party if my family was there. What a weirdo. Like, what's wrong with stepmom? Why would she ruin the birthday for her own daughter? My stepdaughter asked if her party would be canceled because that's what her mother said. I told her honestly that we might have to cancel it because we want to make sure it's safe and fun for everyone. I told her we would still celebrate her birthday no matter what. Now, my husband is a bit upset that I told her. I just wanted to be honest with her in case we did have to cancel the party due to her mom's threats. Her mom has done this before, and I just didn't want her to feel disappointed again. I, of course, didn't mean to upset her. I think it's awful to lie to her, and then we do end up having to cancel, or the party does end up being disrupted. I don't know. He told me he understood, but was still upset. My stepdaughter is still very distraught. I just didn't want her to feel disappointed. Am I the a-hole? Do you guys think that this mom is the a-hole? Like, or the stepmom is the a-hole? I'm saying no. I'm saying no, she's not the a-hole. I think it's important to be honest with her stepdaughter, and that's exactly what she was doing. She was being honest with her stepdaughter and letting her know, like, hey, we may have to cancel because your mom's going crazy around here. So I don't see how that's bad. Let me go ahead and jump in the comments and see what the chat is saying as far as whether they think that stepmom is the a-hole for even telling the 7-year-old daughter that her birthday may be canceled because her mom is out here making threats. So let's see here. I don't think we have. I don't know. No, we don't have any comments on it yet. So let's see here. We're talking about the trial still. So I don't see any comments coming through. I sent Kimmy the link probably too late to go ahead and poll you guys in the chat. So we are probably just going to move on into the actual lawsuit that everyone came here for. And I am sorry, y'all. I can barely talk right now. I feel like very stuffy right now. So I'm sorry if I sound a little funny to anyone or to everyone if I sound funny. Let's see here. We are going to share the audio system to this one, and we're going to share that. And I believe we need to go to right about here to get her. So for those of you, okay. So let's see here. And let me know if you guys can hear the audio on the Adelson. If you guys are watching on TikTok, you're not going to be able to hear or see what we're talking about because we are on YouTube live streaming. So if you do want to see what we're actually talking about, please do hop over to YouTube to see what's going on. We had a couple comments come in on the chat for the Am I the A-hole? So I'm going to take a peek at that really quick. Tiny D saying, give me a summary. It was long. Basically, stepmom told stepdaughter that she couldn't have her party because bio mom was threatening that she was going to come and shut it down. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't think that the mom is an a-hole. She's not really taking it out on the kid, but she's just trying to make sure that everyone is safe. Tiny D says, need that summary too. Deaf and Spicy member of the channel says, not the a-hole. Too bad that mom acts like that. Exactly. Why are you so jealous? Take care of your kid. Throw your kid a party and then you won't have these problems, but she has the problems. Deacon Fatal says the family is poo. Right. Chelsea says, I'm a minute or two behind, but I say not the a-hole. Stepmom could have could have courted it differently. She probably could have, said, instead we're gonna go to Chuck E. Cheese or something of that nature. Worded it. Okay, that makes more sense. But I don't know if we can blame stepmom, right? She's learning how to be a stepmom too, but I think it's the mom's fault. Nanakin says, is the jury chat group problem going to make this another Murdaugh? I did not hear about the jury group chat. It could make, oh my gosh, please don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that. I have to sit through it again because guess what? Catherine McBanois had to redo her trial too. So don't tell me that. Do not tell me that. Deaf and Spicy says to Deacon Fatal, LOL, family is poo for sure. Yes, for the not the, or am I the a-hole? C. Seltzer, another member of the channel, welcome in, saying, I think stepmom is not the a-hole, but big misstep. That's probably where we're at. She probably should have talked to dad first to see how they should handle it as a couple. Chelsea says stepmom could have said even if plans changed, they would still figure out a way to have a special event to celebrate her birthday. She did say something along those lines. She didn't necessarily say that, but she said something along those lines that they'll make her day special regardless. Kimmy Walker says Murdaugh tempering is a whole nother level in my opinion, but hopefully the jury group chat was just for social reasons and not about the trial. Yes, because if it was about the trial, then they could be facing similar mistrial issues. Okay, let's see. Deacon Fatal says, lovely name, and I agree. Deacon Fatal says, beg your pardon. To which part? Mary Malaki says, oh, is there a jury chat issue? Spicy, I'm here for it. I didn't know about that, so we probably won't be covering that tonight. Cheryl C says, chat group. Why have I not heard of this yet? I haven't heard of it. I've been too busy trying to catch up on the trial because I let myself get a week behind. So I haven't heard about the group chat issue, but hopefully they weren't talking about the case, because if you listen to the judge's instructions, he's very clear on that they're not supposed to be talking about the case when they leave the jury room, not the jury room, when they leave the courtroom, not even on lunch. They can have lunch together, but they cannot talk about the case. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into it, and maybe someone will find Kimmy, maybe Kimmy will find more information about the potential group chat of the jury while we watch, but if not, that is also fine. I am going to put it on 1.5 speed to see what homegirl is saying, because they talk slow, and what they have to do is prove their case by a reasonable doubt. She's going to go into that, and then she's also going to go into their arguments, which is going to kind of give away our live stream for Thursday if we can finish everything on Thursday, but it may have to be split into 4. Let's see here. Kimmy's giving me some information. Okay, so it sounds like the defense team filed a motion to interview the jurors. This is coming from our paralegal, Kimmy. Thank you for finding that. It says jurors allegedly made a group chat. The defense said in the motion that they did not know what the substance of communication was, nor if communication involved outside information about the case or constituted premature deliberation. KBRB. Okay, Kimmy will be right back. But thank you. That was good information for those of you that were wondering about the jury chat. Looks like the defense is filing a motion saying that a jury chat was going on after an interview, or a group chat between the jury members were going on during an interview. And so now the defense is filing a motion potentially to figure out what they were talking about and if it had to do with the case and if they could appeal it for that reason. Let's go ahead and jump into the prosecution's closing argument. We have already watched the prosecution in their opening argument. I have watched almost 4 days of Miss Homegirl right here doing the trial. I didn't really see the other what I'm assuming is the younger attorney. I could be completely wrong, but the lady that did the opening statement, she didn't really do any of the direct examination, I don't think at all. And I'm going into day 4. So let's see.
It was my burden to prove
Let
this
me
case
know
to you.
if you guys can
Beyond
hear
a reasonable doubt.
me.
And generally speaking, the defense's job is to poke holes in the evidence.
Okay, let me know in the chat if you guys could hear that, but is that all the way up? Let me make sure the volume is all the way up for the peeps. That is all the way up, but it sounds pretty light to me still. So let me know if you guys can hear it. Okay, we are back.
Argue that it falls short of meeting that high burden. And we also learned at jury selection that the defense does not have to prove anything. But sometimes if the law enforcement investigation is so thorough and so compelling that there's really no way to poke holes in the evidence,
so of course,
he has to basically admit his own words, his own text messages. That stuff is undeniable, right? And those things prove that he was in cahoots with Catherine Markel in 2013, through the murder in 2014, and all the way up until her arrest in October of 2016. He knows he can't deny that he paid the killers because of this bizarre practice he had of stapling his money. So sometimes when a defendant can't attack the facts or the law, they instead try to explain it away by saying, you can't trust what you're seeing. And it's not what it appears to be. It's actually something else entirely. Often, as in this case, the individual explanation, so when you zoom in on one piece of evidence with its attached explanation, can be like, maybe. But when you zoom out and you add all these things together, this explanation, this explanation, this explanation, this coincidence, and this coincidence, and this coincidence, it starts making less and less sense. It starts being less and less reasonable. And when you zoom out from the defense's theory, it's really unreasonable, right? Because to find it reasonable, you have to buy a lot of things that he's selling. The most obvious of which is that because Sigfredo Garcia hated him, he and Rivera traveled to Tallahassee twice to kill someone he hated in hopes that he would give them money for it on the back end. Please think about that. To hit this defendant where it hurts, these two dudes with no connection at all to Dan Markel and without two nickels to rub together, rented a car and paid for gas to come to Tallahassee and stay in a hotel twice in order to kill someone that this defendant hated, to harm him. And for what? To maybe get money. Maybe he just turns him in for murder. Why not just kill and rob him if what you're after is money and there's no hired hit?
Makes more sense.
Why not just kill and rob him if your motive is, we hate him? Then the bad guys don't even have any contact with him, according to his own story. They didn't threaten him. They did not beat him into submission. Instead, they sent his own girlfriend.
Okay, so let me pause because some people are saying they have no idea what's going on in this case, and we are hopping right to closing argument. So what the defense is arguing here is that, yes, he paid the killers. He paid them because they were extorting him. So basically what they did is they went and they killed his brother-in-law. Probably didn't even know who his brother-in-law was, then came back to him and said, hey, guess what? I killed your brother-in-law, and if you don't give me money, the police will know that you know who the killer is. I don't know if they said, well, tell him that you did it or what it was, but it was something, because I haven't gotten into his defense part of it all the way. They just keep hinting at this extortion. But basically, this is what the defense or the prosecution is arguing right now. These guys, who the killers were actually the baby daddy to Mr. Dentist Charlie's girlfriend at the time. He's the baby daddy. He allegedly hates Charlie. So in order to get back at Charlie for dating his baby mama, they went all the way to Tallahassee from Miami and killed his brother-in-law, who he was not even friends with, who was going through a contentious divorce with his sister. And usually when, criminals eliminate someone for the purpose of, sending a message. Not that Charlie did anything wrong, just that he was dating his baby mama. That's why they went to this extreme to kill the brother-in-law in order to extort Charlie for money. It makes absolutely no sense. Most of the time when a killer is extorting someone or they're trying to send a message, they're going to kill someone you actually like your mom or your sister or your dad, not your brother-in-law or your ex-brother-in-law who your sister has divorced. So that's their argument, that the baby daddy was mad at him for dating his baby mama. So him and his friend went and killed his ex-brother-in-law, who's in a contentious divorce with his sister. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense to you. That is the defense that they came up here with to try to poke holes in the prosecution and prove reasonable doubt. The ex-girlfriend actually did testify. you can say she's believable or not, but her testimony definitely changed from her actual trial, which is what the defense tried to poke holes in. But she admitted that she lied. They couldn't even impeach her. Like their whole argument. I'll play it because I'm getting too hyped about it. I'll play it, but their whole argument is that she's a lying liar who lies, but she didn't lie enough to the point where they were able to impeach her. So at that moment, after that, I will digress and we can go into the rest or a part because this closing statement is very long. We're not going to watch the whole thing tonight, but we'll go right back into it, okay?
To extort him on their behalf. And without any actual contact from the bad guys, the defendant just opened up his safe and handed over his beloved money that he had saved his entire life since he was a child. He just handed it over. Take it all. And when that amount wasn't sufficient, these stone-cold murdering gangsters let the defendant go on a payment plan to give him the rest of the money.
They let him go on a payment plan.
They let Catherine McVanois skim off the top each month. And never, over the next 2 years that he was being extorted monthly, these gangsters, remember that money doesn't go to the principal, that $3,000 a month. They never show up to demand the remaining $195,000 that this defendant has agreed to pay them. Then you also need to find reasonable that over the 2 years of this supposed extortion layaway plan, that the defendant continued to do what? Send these kissy faces and love texts to Catherine McVanois. He's sending these messages to a woman who got him into this mess, and he says he didn't suspect she was involved. What do we know about this man? He didn't suspect she was involved. She's taking the money. He's never even heard from the bad guys. He didn't see it that way, that she got him into this mess. They grew closer after she began extorting him for $3,000 a month. Meanwhile, the defendant and Catherine McVanois break up. She continues to maintain her direct and indirect contact with Sigfredo Garcia, the man who's extorting him, the man who murdered his former brother-in-law in cold blood. But he sees her as a friend. The kissy faces and I love yous continue. Even after Catherine McVanois got back together with the man who executed Dan Markel, the father of his young nephews, and a guy who's actively extorting him, this defendant continued to reach out to her over and over again to offer her favors and gifts, including a birthday gift for Garcia, and to tell her he loves her and how lucky he is to have her in his life. Lucky? Next, to find a reasonable doubt here, you have to find it reasonable that the defendant never texted or talked about this first layer of extortion. Why? According to him, because Catherine McVanois said, let's never talk about this. So they did. Then you have to believe he never reported or revealed this information to law enforcement out of fear of the gangsters. And finally, you have to believe that this living in fear of death by gang members over 2 years didn't cause a change in his general demeanor that his friends noticed. But later, the bump from law enforcement did. He says that's because, well, I became worried that I might be falsely arrested. So I wasn't a hot mess when I was being extorted by gang members and threatened to be killed and my whole family killed. But I became a hot mess when I started to get worried that the cops might be getting closer. And I have no real way of knowing if all this stuff sounds ridiculous to you, if it sounds reasonable to you, or if y'all just heard so much stuff that you're totally confused and can't even remember what the evidence in the case showed. But they only need to get one of you confused enough to derail this whole thing, right? So I've got to go through each thing with you. Your verdict has to be unanimous. So I want to go through the testimony, I want to review the evidence, and I want to spend a little bit more time talking about this multitude of explanations the defense has offered in an effort to really turn each piece of evidence on its head. This is Dan Markel. He is the victim in this case. A brilliant lawyer, a funny guy, a son, colleague, a brother, a mentor, and a friend. But most of all, a father. A dedicated and loving father whose downfall was brought about by the fact that his number one priority was maximizing his access to those two little boys in the wake of a bitter divorce from their mother. And despite the defense's efforts to characterize their client as the real victim here, Dan Markel remains the only victim in this case. The only thing he was guilty of is fighting like hell for those kids. And he lost. He didn't lose in court, but he lost. This is what he looked like before this defendant hired a hitman to kill him. And this is what he looked like afterwards. The evidence has shown that on July 18th, 2014, this brilliant man was gunned down in broad daylight in the driveway of his own home. His horrific death ultimately set police down two separate paths following the two most promising leads they had. The first was to chase down that Prius that Mr. Geiger saw fleeing the crime scene. And we'll examine those efforts in detail. The second path was to ask, as we would in any murder investigation, who might want to have done this? Who would want Dan Markel dead? And within 1 hour of the shooting, before Professor Markel was even pronounced dead, this path was already pointing to the defendant.
This is
sister revealed to law enforcement that her family hated Dan Markel and that her brother, Charlie, had joked about hiring a hitman to kill him. And this trash talk, of course, would be meaningless had he not been killed by a hitman. So who did it appear had a motive to want Dan Markel dead? His own family. And what offense had Mr. Markel committed against these people? Refusing to let his children be taken away from him? Objecting to them disparaging him to his kids? The evidence has shown that the Adelson family was all about psychological warfare. When all else failed, they were willing to go even further to win. I want to examine this motive in more detail and look at exactly how it's attributable to this defendant. Despite the defense's efforts to minimize this, it's really clear that the divorce between Wendy and Danny was a particularly nasty one.
Really good.
They fought over everything, all the way from the children down to the bicycle and the
rash burn, whatever his name.
In January of 2013, Wendy Adelson filed a motion to allow her to relocate to South Florida with the kids. They were 2 and 3 at that time. As one basis for this request, Wendy cites the wife's parents reside in Coral Springs and the wife's brother resides 20 minutes away. The children are very close to the wife's parents. Wendy Adelson also alleges in this filing that the husband has also created a hostile work environment for the wife at FSU School of Law. Wendy Adelson viewed herself as stuck in Tallahassee, a characterization which she now denies, but one which was used to describe her situation by Jeffrey LaPaz on the witness stand and also in her own pleadings in these divorce filings.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it right there. So let's get into the prosecution, and we'll probably go over this a little bit more on Thursday because we're going to go through all the witnesses that we have so far, and hopefully we can get some more witnesses to go through here. So what's the prosecution's assertion? They're basically saying that Charlie hired these hitmen on behalf of his sister because his sister wanted to move from Tallahassee to closer to Miami where her parents and Charlie lived so that she can be closer to family. She was going through a contentious divorce with Dan Markel. She had a motion denied for her to be able to move in around summer of 2013. And allegedly from that moment on is when Charlie actually started to look for solutions because he was kind of like the problem solver in the family. And mom said, you need to go save your sister again. And so he's been convicted. Charlie went on a spree to try to figure out what he can do to save his sister. Now, I'm going to say my own opinions, and you can, this is my speculations, my opinions only. I think this guy, let me see, I'm trying to find a nice way to say it. I think this guy had some type of, the type of girls he was into. I don't want to call it a fetish, but they looked pretty similar. They looked like young, either Hispanic or Asian women. Is what it looked like he liked to date. Young, not the same age as him from what I can tell, that he can kind of impress. They may not have as much money as him. He takes them on nice dates and he kind of impresses them. They had another girlfriend come on the stand who essentially appeared to be a liar to me. We'll talk about it more when we go over all of the testimony. But mom basically said he's basically dating this McBenoit girl who is impressed with him, right? He's a rich dentist. She was dating her baby daddy who was making $600 per week. So you go from someone who's making $2,400 a month to a big fancy dentist who's making millions per year and has a lot of money saved up in the safe. So he goes to her, according to the prosecution, and which one on this trial, he goes to her and say, hey, do you know anyone who can, that's criminally inclined that can kind of get rid of somebody? And she said, yes, I know someone that can do that. And she said she left it there. If you want to believe her, you believe her. I believe her. I'm just saying. I believe her. And so after that, he kind of kept dropping those little hints in her ear. Eventually, she gets her baby daddy. The baby daddy gets his friend who is in a gang. Him and his friend who's in the gang, they go down to try to kill this guy. They're given an envelope. None of them know Dan Markel's name, allegedly, from their testimony. None of them even know his name. They're just given an envelope and an address and a picture of him, and they just go and try to get rid of the guy. And so that's the prosecution's defense. Sister wanted to move. Mom said, go solve the problem, Charlie. Charlie hired his girlfriend and her baby daddy and his friend to go eliminate them. And then he paid them over $100,000 over a course of time, like prosecution said, on a payment plan. And most people do not take their murder for hire on a payment plan. And that's one of the things that the defense actually pointed out. As we talked about earlier, the defense's position is that Charlie was being extorted. Baby daddy found out that baby mama was dating Charlie, and she said, you know what? I'm so mad. I'm going to prove my point, and I'm going to extort him. I'm going to go and kill his brother-in-law, who he doesn't even talk to, who he doesn't even like, instead of his sister, his mom, his dad, who he talked to almost every freaking day. Instead of killing those people who are also in Miami with me, I'm going to drive all the way to Tallahassee to go kill his brother-in-law, who's not even his brother-in-law anymore. What sense does that make? That makes absolutely no sense. So, yes, the prosecution's whole case is circumstantial, sure. But your explanation of why, and then they kill him. They go over there twice to try to kill him. And they kill him, and then they come back and say, hey, guess what? I killed your brother-in-law. And if you don't give me money, I'm going to tell the police that you know who killed your brother-in-law. And then what? The police comes up to you and say, hey, I heard you know who killed your brother-in-law. You goes, yes, these Hispanic guys who dates my girlfriend, him and his friend did it. And then guess what? They will be in jail like they are right now. His excuse doesn't really make sense. And like they said, it was his money. He loved to look at it. He liked to keep a lot of money. He even stapled the money and kept it in his house. And you want to tell me these thugs never came up to him? It's his girlfriend telling him that the thugs said they know they did it. And if they don't do it, they're going to also kill your family too. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Maybe that I did skip out on that. They did threaten to then kill his family. But why would you start off with the brother-in-law? Like, it doesn't make sense. Baby daddy is not in the gang. The friend is in the gang. I'm sorry if I misspoke that, but I thought I was pretty clear that it's the friend that's in the gang, not the baby daddy. So let's see here. And I don't think baby daddy actually testified. Why am I calling this guy baby daddy? I don't think baby daddy actually testified, but the friend did. And I'm like, how are you in a gang and you're snitching like this? But it's going to reduce his sentence. So I guess that is how he's in the gang and snitching like this. Let's see. I'm trying to find some of the comments. Cheryl C says the money he never put in banks because he loved looking at it. So he stapled it in bundles and kept it in his safe. What? No way he would just hand that cash over without argument. Please. And the thing is, this is a rich guy. He said he has connections on both sides. So if a gangster is threatening you, why would you not then go to your police friends to help you out? Because I'm sure he had police friends. He looks like a guy that has police friends. So why would he not go to his police friends to help him out? Deacon Fatal says, okay, I'm looking at the general and their body language and what I think is the defense. Yes, those would be the two guys at the table. And then there's like a lady at the end. That's the defense. Deacon Fatal says, okay, old dude in the back is going through it. The guy with the tissue. Yeah. Yes, Mary Malarkey, poor children. Yeah, the children are like 14, 15 now, but now they're growing up without a dad. And I honestly think, I don't know why they haven't charged Donna and Wendy and Harvey yet. Well, maybe not Harvey so much, but I don't know why they haven't charged Wendy and Donna so much. Like the whole case was about them. And I'm just like, how did y'all even get in half of this evidence without Donna didn't testify? Wendy did testify, so we can get things that she said, statements against her own interest and for testimony. But how are we getting all of Donna's statements in and what Donna did in, right? Because people are testifying to what they observed, I guess. But some of the stuff, I was like, why is the defense not objecting? Did they stipulate to include everything that had to do with Donna? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Cheryl C says, Bree, it's hard to hear you over the video sound. Oh, okay. I don't know how to fix that, to tell you the truth, but I would try to fix it next time. Deacon Fatal says, okay, I have a real question. Why are people even trying to hire hits when divorce is a better option? It's kind of making me sick. So let me tell you something, Deacon Fatal. They were already divorced. They were literally the divorce was done a year prior. The divorce was done. What happened is she asked to move away. The court said no. And so she was like, okay, well, what do I do next? Also, what Dan Markel did was file a motion so that her mama could not see the kids unsupervised. And that motion was never heard because they put their plan in motion and got rid of him before they could eliminate grandma from seeing the kids unsupervised, because grandma was calling Dan Markel stupid in front of the kids, which you cannot do. And the court can stop your visitation if you're disparaging the other parent. So Donna was the one kind of pushing this. And then you file that kind of motion, which, let me tell you guys, Wendy actually stated that her mom did not even know about this filing, yet the prosecution pulled out an email of Wendy forwarding the filing to 12 different people, including her mom, almost immediately after she received the filing. But she's telling the court and the jury and everybody that mom didn't even know about the filing, so why would she tell someone to, kill him? And within 4 months, Dan Markel was dead. So I sound like I'm on the prosecution team at this point. Deacon Fatal says his sisters, it was one sister. Okay, yeah. So baby daddy never testified and he is appealing his conviction. I thought all of his appeals were done, but maybe I'm just a little off. So that's the information Kimmy gave us. Let's see where I was at. Kimmy says to Deacon Fatal, according to the state's theory, the contentious divorce was the motive. Yeah, so sister didn't have to fight anymore. And it wasn't really divorce at this point, right? It was enforcing the divorce agreement and also custody. She wanted to move to Miami. Dan said no. The court said no. So her next option, but she claimed she did not know anything. She was getting her TV fixed, which was stupid, but she was getting her TV. Like, these people, they thought they came up with the perfect plan, and they might have come up with the perfect plan if Dan's nosy neighbor didn't go over and look what happened and didn't see the Prius pulling out of the parking lot, which is the prosecution partly argues. They may have been able to catch it on like the surveillance video or whatever, but that lead to look for that particular Prius is really what kind of jump started everything for them. So yes, the contentious divorce proceedings, the family law proceedings is what is the motive. Save sister, basically. Save sister was the motive, and the jury bought that. Deacon Fatal said to Kimmy Locker, a hot mess, and thank you. Yes, it was a hot mess. Tanya D says that mom is a piece of work. She needs a life. She needs a life. She looks a lot different now. They showed her in the court a couple of times. She looks a lot different now. Like, she gained a lot of weight. It looked like she really used to keep her appearance up. And then now like her weight went up. She looks tired. So it's taking a toll on her, but I feel like she just knows she's next. She knows she's next and going to jail. And I think they should charge her. Let me know in the comments if you think they should charge her. Let's see. Deacon Fatal says you don't have to say it, but I can. He had a fetish, right? Yeah, they looked the same. They looked a lot younger than him. I was just like, okay, you either have a type or you have a fetish. As far as the girls he would date, and they would seem to me to be younger and also in a less fortunate position than him, so that he can impress them. Cheryl C says, if the spouse is deleted instead of divorce, no year-long divorce, no shared custody, no dealing with them forever because you share kids, no battles over money and property. I mean, I get it. And that is the motive. It makes a lot of sense. And the thing is, why they're saying, oh, okay, well, if she's going through all of that, then why would her brother, who has nothing to do with it, help her? because her parents were paying for it and her parents were hurting financially. And his dad and him, they work together in a business. They're paying for her divorce and the stress and coddling her. And he's like, okay, he's a mama's boy. So mom's like, do something about this. Our bank account is running dry, even though it wasn't. They had like $18 million. But we'll get into that. They had all of this money, and she's claiming that, you know, this divorce is bleeding her dry. Wendy's stressed out, which is the sister, and son, go do something about it. And you know what they were calling the actual plan to murder this guy? They were calling it Dad's birthday present. They were calling it Dad's birthday present because his birthday was on July 5th. The murder ended up happening on July 18th. And they tried to have Dad's birthday present completed before June. I think the first trip was up there on June 5th. So isn't it crazy? Absolutely crazy. Cheryl C says, can't say I choose that option though. Why would you choose that option? Like, just be okay with it. If your parents wanted to be so close to you and you can't move, why did they not move to Tallahassee? I understand they have a business and all of the things, but eliminating people. And I said this the other day. I was like, I didn't even know people were still doing murder for hire plans. Like, I thought that was a thing that went out the window because people keep getting caught doing it. Like, I thought that was a thing that went out the window. But no, it sounds like they're still doing it. And it's happening more often than we know. Mary Malarkey says to Deacon Fatal, agree, isn't that enough? It's hard to believe so many of Wendy family members would be on board. Like, right. And so not only did they do that, they offered him $1 million to be able, like, you thought that you can buy this man's kids from him. I will give you $1 million if you let Wendy move to Miami and then you have to travel a long way to see your kids. The man had 50-50 custody. He was a good dad in the court's eyes. They gave him 50-50 custody, probably because they saw that Wendy and her family was a little cuckoo, in my opinion. Equality says to Cheryl C. True, but risking going to jail for life, I don't get that part. Absolutely. I am right there with you. Why would you risk that? And then for someone else? Like, even the girlfriend and her boyfriend, yes, maybe they were struggling, but and that's how you can tell they were on a different tax bracket than these people. They really eliminated the guy. The guy that actually testified only got paid $37,000. That is a salary, and I believe below the median salary. And you eliminated somebody for that? And you know what he bought? He bought a car, a used car at that, and a used motorcycle. And you eliminated somebody for that. The girlfriend, I think she said she ended up getting about $18,000 in a boob job and an old Lexus car. But you killed somebody. You participated in having someone killed. And Charlie's not so smart self was like, oh, if you're not the one pulling the trigger, Mr. Dentist, Mr. Educated, if you're not the one pulling the trigger, then you can't be held responsible. Sure, they may tie us to the rental of the vehicle, but if you're nowhere near the gun, you can't be held responsible. Are you dumb? Did you not research this before? I mean, I guess you don't want to be Googling this before you do it, but I think a lot of people know about a murder for hire and you go to jail for that. If you don't actually commit the murder, it's a lot shorter time. But in this case, you actually committed the murder. You're going to jail for the actual murder. And you didn't know that? And you devised this whole plan thinking that it just because you're not near the trigger, you're not going to jail? Who told you that? Like, did you consult with a lawyer about this person? And so that's one of the arguments that the defense actually made. They said, well, they asked if it was legal to give Dan the $1 million. So why would they then resort to killing if they're consulting with lawyers about whether they can pay him off to buy his kids? because they're stupid. They came up with the idea to pay him off to buy his kids. You don't think they would then resort to this when they found out they couldn't do it, and they can't go to a criminal attorney and say, hey, if I pay Garcia and Rivera to kill my ex-brother-in-law, am I going to go to jail? You cannot you can do that. But it probably wouldn't be the best idea, because the attorney would have to report you, because you cannot, it's not confidential if you're telling an attorney that you're going to commit a crime. It's no longer confidential. So no, he couldn't go to an attorney and say, hey, I'm going to, eliminate my ex-brother-in-law so that my sister can move to Florida. So yeah, you consulted an attorney about paying $1 million to buy his kids or have them move near you if he'll give up his kids for $1 million. And you saw that didn't go so well. So then why would you go into your plan to eliminate him and talk to a lawyer about that? So let's see where we're at in the chat. Cheryl C says, this family never thought they would have been suspects. Exactly. Completely agree. They probably, and I've been thinking, and like I shouldn't be, and I'm thinking of it like as a lawyer, how would they have gotten away with it? One, don't hire your girlfriend's baby daddy. That's one way to get away with it. Hire someone you completely do not know and don't have. These people talked on the phone so much. They sent so many text messages. They talked on the phone so much. It's not even funny. It's not even funny how much they talked on the phone. And so this whole plan, yeah, they thought they weren't going to get away with it. They were watching Dateline and said, hey, I can get away with this. And they didn't get away with it. But could they have? Potentially. I think if nosy neighbor didn't see the Prius pulling out, potentially they may have gotten away longer. But you guys know what? I watched First 48 quite a bit. And as soon as there's a lead on you and you commit a crime with multiple people, you're going to jail, because they are going to tell. They are going to tell. You are better off doing it yourself. Let me get to some more chats, and I'll go ahead and let you know another part of their plan that they tried to implement in order to make sure that they were not suspects. So let's finish Cheryl C's chat. I am sure of it. In my opinion, they thought they were smarter than everyone and basically untouchable. They literally came to the jury and said, no, these people went and voluntarily killed my brother-in-law, who they would not even have a clue who he is and his address and where the kids are. And they had enough, sense not to kill him in front of his kids. They went and killed him and then extorted me for money and said, I'll tell the police that you know who killed him, or if you don't give me money, I'll kill your family. And he never saw the killers. The killers never came up to him. His girlfriend literally came up to him and said, hey, I know who killed your brother-in-law. And they told me if you don't give them money, they're going to also kill your family. Why would he believe that? Why would he believe? And he continued to date the girl. Like, who continues to date the person? Like, why would he not go contact the police and wear a wire on her? Like, it makes no sense. I agree with you, Cheryl C. He thought he was smarter than everyone. Deacon Fiddle says, that is not Fat Tony logic from The Simpsons. Deacon Fiddle says, if you are going to do mob things, I at least expect Fat Tony logic. Yeah, they thought they was mobsters and they're not. Mary Malaki says to Cheryl C, you're probably right. Just like Alex Murdaugh, he thought he was untouchable. This is exactly rich white man complex. I'm sorry. I had to say it. Deacon Fatal says, because he didn't. Tanya D says he thought he would never get caught because he's a slick talker and can buy his way out of everything. They really thought people were going to believe that he was being blackmailed because he knew who the killer was. It makes no sense. Kimmy Locker says, I thought defense was effective at cross when he crossed at all, but let so many objections slide. It drove me up a wall. He did not object to anything, and when he did, he lost. He did not object to anything. He let everything in. And I don't really think he was really effective at cross, in my opinion, from the ones that that I've seen so far. Just because, like, I think he had a good idea of where he was going, but he never tied the loose ends for me. And he also got objected to a lot. And then he just like completely gave up on the line of questioning, which is fine. But he was doing like a lot of talking to the witnesses that he was not supposed to be doing, like to Catherine McBanois. He was like, "Oh, we know you have an agenda. We know you have an agenda." I'm like, why are you doing all of that, bro? But no, I think he had good ideas where he was going if he could prove it. But also, I don't think his ideas were I don't think he believed it. I don't even think he believed it. I wouldn't believe it if I was the attorney, but he had to get up there and zealously advocate for his client. I understand, but I don't think he believed it. I think he thought he was a hot shot and could just be more, charismatic to the jury, maybe. I don't know. But I think he had good ideas of where to go, but to me, he never tied the loose ends. Let me know what you think on that. And I'm far behind in the chat, so it may be a while if you do comment it. Deacon Fatal says, how does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. The whole story is a mess. Chelsea says, sounds like they have more on the mother than on the wife. Yes, the sister was made to not know nothing, not know anything. Like I said, these people communicated so much, but the person they communicated with the least was the sister. She had the least contacts during these things. Now, her dumb self did go drive down the street during the police investigation with all the police cars and the roadblocks and all of this stuff. She claimed that she couldn't see what was going on. But the police standing at the roadblock said he saw her pull up in her van, and where she pulled up to, she would have seen that there were police cars in front of her ex-husband's house where her kids live, and all she did was turn around. And you want to tell me that the family's not guilty? And then her dumb self goes in and talks to the investigator. In my opinion, dumb self, goes in and talks to the investigator and says, oh yeah, my brother made a joke about, hiring a hitman, but he bought me a TV instead. So maybe he would do it. Maybe I would do it. I don't know. She's like, who did no one prep her? And maybe that's why she's the one that always needs to be saved, because it sounds like she's not making good decisions, in my opinion. Okay. Tanya D says, I think they can go after Wendy and Donna now that Charlie is convicted. I think the hardest person they will go, that they probably cannot get is Harvey, potentially, but probably not. But I agree. I think Donna is up next. Oh, please get Donna. We will cover that. Wendy, I think they can get her. I think it's going to be hard. I don't think she would get as long of a sentence. Okay. Mary Malarkey says to Tanya D, agree, there are so many Charlies out there. Cheryl C says, Wendy also testified she had no idea what was in her bro's charging documents. She's a lawyer. She didn't want to read them anytime before getting on the stand. Doubtful. She's lying. She's lying. The whole purpose, and I think the prosecution presented this well, is they wanted to take it as far away from her as possible, because obviously she went in there and completely, in my opinion, snitched on the first interview, but they just kind of gave her the benefit of the doubt. Oh, I'm the wife. I would be the highest suspect. Yes, you are. But why are you saying that? Oh, and my brother also said he would hire a hitman. Like, if she knew any more detail, if she knew any more detail than she did, Charlie would have been in jail 6 years ago, okay? He would have been in jail. No, not even 60. He would have been in jail in 2014 if they told her any more information. So I think she did know the charges against her brother. I think she did know that her brother is going to claim that, it was a conspiracy or whatever. But good for her. She defended her brother. And the thing about her testimony is none of it can be used against her in her own trial if she decides to testify, which is a pretty good deal, because she lied her butt off, in my opinion. Mary Malarkey says, yes, they need to bring charges on Donna. She is the man. I'm surprised they didn't bring charges on her first, but I think they needed to get Charlie first, because in order to get Donna, she had to have a pawn. Now they have her pawn. So I think though she's probably up next. Yes, Deacon Fatal, the family is a mess. Mary Malarkey says, Dad's birthday present That makes me feel sick. Yeah, and they kept saying, oh, well, he's turning 70, so it was a special birthday. We all went up there on his birthday, blah, blah, blah. They were calling it dad's birthday present because it's basically, it stops them from having to spend so much money on this divorce. But I mean, like, if she didn't have money, then leave it alone. You have 50-50. What do you need to move for? Like, why do you need to move? Jeff and Spicy says, settle. This is the a-hole family. Yes. They're creeping up there with the Murdochs. All right. Mary Malarkey says to Cheryl C, wait, what? Wendy is a lawyer? This feels like a soap opera. It's all so insane. Her and Dan, her husband, they were both law professors. I believe they were both lawyers, but for sure law professors. So most likely Dan was maybe not a practicing lawyer, but he had his JD. Deacon Fatal says, I do have to head to bed because the work birthday is on Saturday. Happy birthday! And I will be able to look at the case a little bit more. Well, have a good night and have a happy birthday. Thank you for coming in. Yes, case closed on this one. The whole family is the a-hole, says Mary Malarkey. Kimmy Locker says, we're jumping into even more on Thursday. Yes, we are. Like, y'all already see, I'm going in. And I'm not even meaning to go in because there's just so much information in the case. Okay, let's see. Sweet dreams to Deacon Fatal. Deacon Fatal says to Kimmy, I still have more jokes to make, but I'm sleepy. Get him out. It's okay. Cheryl C says, yep, she even wrote a book about human trafficking that was based on fictional people in a fictional Florida town. Coincidentally, the husband in the book was a university professor. Fiction ? Sure. And I think they also had some issues, and I believe the character was also based on her. Keiko Alati says he should have watched LawTube first. Should have. I don't know if anyone has covered a case like this before, but they didn't do they thought they were that smart. They were onto something. They were definitely onto something, but they just didn't execute it. Well, I guess they executed it pretty well. He stayed out of jail for 9 years. But yeah, they shouldn't have done it to begin with. So not to say they did a bad job or anything like that. They shouldn't have done it to begin with. Let your sister suffer. She made a bad choice to move to Tallahassee. How is that anyone else's fault? Okay. Tiny D says the fact that Wendy is a lawyer, she should have known that. Again, they thought they had an airtight story. You know who probably did all the research? Wendy. She's the one that probably told. No, she would have told. Never mind. She would have for sure told. That's why she needs to be saved all the time. Mary Malarkey says to Cheryl, see, OMG, this family is scary on so many levels. I agree. And the thing is, not only did he do it once, when he thought he was being extorted again, he said he will make it happen. If Garcia doesn't want to do it again, I will make it happen. He was so arrogant at that point. He didn't even think he was going to get caught. And then he tried to say, oh, I was talking about the conspiracy. I haven't watched his testimony yet, other than what we've watched on the channel already. But yeah. Mary Malarkey says, Wendy drove down the street of the ex's house right after. I can't. No, not only did she drive down the ex's street right after the incident, she went to the liquor store by the ex's house, but she took like a 20-minute route. But if she would have just left from her house straight to the liquor store, it would have took her 10 minutes. And there were also liquor stores in between the point. And she was invited to a Stock the Bar party for her friend's wedding. So she had an alibi for one, getting her TV fixed. And then two, she made sure to go get a receipt that she was like, oh yeah, I was at the liquor store during this time. So it wasn't me. See, look at me on the camera and here's my receipt. Like every stupid criminal in the book said, hey, like, look at my alibi. I have it right here ready for you. It's pristine. It's crisp. I didn't spill any coffee on it. Here's my receipt to show I was there. I planned this. I didn't plan this out. Yes, you did. You planned this out. Okay. So she took a long route around to where she would go around her ex-husband's house. And she had a receipt for a liquor store. And then after that, she drove through the street and certainly, as the police testified to, saw the light and had no concern. She didn't call the daycare. She didn't say, hey, what's wrong with my ex-husband? Are my kids there? Even if you don't give a darn tootin' about him, are my kids at the house? There's police flashing. No, because she knew they were at the daycare. Okay. So, and they knew that they weren't going to kill him in front of the kid. So here we go. Tiny says, I agree the attorney put on a great show, but no, sir. As far as the defense attorney, I think he has charisma. I think he does. I just don't think he tied things together. For me, at least, he didn't. Equality says, is that where Corey Richins got the idea it's a fictional story from? I'm not familiar with that. Kimmy Locker says, defense definitely left things to be desired when it came to tying things together, but I think he undermined it, contradicted, / showed the other side of testimony well. I'm not completely caught up though. Yeah, I think I just think their excuse was dumb. I just can't get behind the defense, but there were a lot of people that kind of contradicted themselves. So I do agree with you, Kimmy. He did do a good job at pointing the holes, but he didn't tie the holes together, which I guess he's not supposed to tie them together, but he didn't make it stick. And like I said, the defense was stupid. So even if he could poke holes, maybe Catherine McBanois is a liar, maybe Rivera is a liar, but the defense is stupid. It didn't make any sense. But his main argument is that the state's theory did not make sense. But then he turned around in the next breath and say the state is really close to what actually happened. No, they know exactly what happened. You're going around saying their theory doesn't make any sense, but they're very close. So it has to make a little bit of sense if it's very close. So yeah, he did not get me on that. I didn't like him. Kimmy Locker says, I'm surprised he didn't shell out some staple stacks for a bigger defense team. Yeah. And I don't know how long he has been practicing, but he felt kind of inexperienced to me. I feel like he did good speeches, but like the way the prosecution tied her story together, she did a phenomenal job, in my opinion. Okay? His story was all over the place. He repeated the same thing 27 times. It didn't tie together for me. I might just not like him. I don't know. He didn't tie it together. That is what it is. The defense was stupid and he didn't tie it together. So that's my opinion. Okay. Mary Malaki says this all went down in 2014. Who is raising the children? The mom. The mom is not in jail. The mom literally testified with immunity. So she's raising the children. Those are her kids. They're 14, 15 years old now. And she's living her best life out of jail while the actual killers, the conspirator, and now her brother are going to jail. They did not sentence him yet. They should be coming back within the next month or so to sentence. I think the next hearing date is December 12th. Kimmy Locker says to Mary Malarkey, Wendy Adelson, Charlie's sister, and Dan's ex-wife wasn't arrested and is raising the children. Yes, of course. Mary Malarkey says, now I feel sick. Yeah, she got her way, which is horrible. Tiny D says she was bad with directions. Girl, bye. She done lived in that town for long enough. She's not bad with directions. She's not bad with directions. Kimmy Locker says to me, I didn't interpret the receipt as being used for an alibi or in Wendy's favor at all because she bought a bottle of whiskey. Yes, I know that she bought whiskey, but the reason why I take it in as an alibi, Kimmy, is because the receipt will have a timestamp on it. The whiskey doesn't really matter. She had an excuse. She was going to a party. They didn't say like that she was drinking it or anything like that. But the fact, what a lot of people do is they will go to a store like Starbucks or whatever and be like, it couldn't have been me because look at my receipt. I was in the store. You can go and check the video camera. And that brings me, okay, let's see. But the brand she bought was Bullet whiskey. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, I thought you meant bottle of whiskey. Yeah, so no, I thought she bought, is bourbon whiskey? I'm pretty sure it was bourbon that she bought because I remember someone said she bought something else. She's like, it was bourbon. I bought bourbon. Like that was the most important part of the case. So that brings me to the next part. So who were they trying to frame? Remember, because they hired hitmen. they don't really want their hitman to get caught, because guess what? If hitmen do a good job, then they can hire them to do something else, right? Well, Wendy had an ex-boyfriend, or a boyfriend that she was breaking up with, whatever you might want to call it. And she planned these, or they planned these incidences. Remember, the killers went to Dan's house on 2 occasions. They went on 2 occasions. And on both of those occasions, they tried to line it up with Wendy's ex-boyfriend going out of town, because what do you do after you commit a crime? You leave town. You don't want to get caught. You want things to cool off. So he was going out of town for certain trips. And on these trips, he would have passed by Dan Markel's house. And on the actual event, on the actual day that they did kill him on July 18th, he was planning on going out of town on that day. And around that time, he would have been passing Dan Markel's house, but for him deciding to leave the night before. And guess what they found? They found video evidence of him in Target or some other store. I believe it was Target, buying something in a state, or in a different state, I believe, buying something too far away to be held guilty. And so that's what I'm talking about, Kimmy, with the receipt. Oh, I'm at the store. You can catch me on video surveillance. I was at the store at 11:59 a.m. and this shooting happened at 11:40. I was too far away, or whatever it may be, right? She wasn't there, is what they're trying to say. I am in a different place. I'm in a different place, okay? So that's how her ex-boyfriend got away. Not got away with it, but that's how he was eliminated as a suspect, because they were trying to make give you a reasonable doubt that it's Charlie, because it's actually her scorned ex-lover that did this. And defense argued that the scorned ex-lover, oh, he's jilted. He's saying all this bad stuff about her because he's like upset that she broke up with him and all of this stuff. So other than that, yeah. That was another position that they tried. They tried to set up my boy, Lacoste is what they called him. So, which he came off as very believable to me. Like, sure, he might have been mad that they broke up and that she was possibly cheating on him. But if she's cheating on him, why? She wasn't cheating on him with her ex-husband. So why would he kill her ex-husband? That doesn't make any sense. That made no sense. And if you're gonna like say, oh, he killed the ex-husband for her so that she would get back with him after killing her ex-husband, like, wouldn't she be upset if she didn't have anything to do with it that her ex-husband died? No, she wasn't upset. She moved to a whole different state. She said she didn't have the intent to move on that day, but she didn't leave, and then she never came back because she was so sad. Girl. Sorry, y'all. We didn't even watch the statements at this point because I went on a tangent. I'm so sorry. Kimmy says Wendy's liquor purchase was the state's evidence and thought they were implying that she was being cheeky and callous by buying bullet brown liquor as if to celebrate. No, that's not what I got from the testimony. They specifically pointed out that she bought it for the purpose of the wedding, to stock the bar for her friend's wedding. But the fact that her receipt said she was in the liquor store, and that's why they kind of kept bringing up, oh, she was in the liquor store, but why did you go to the one by Dan's house? The reason why she went to the one by Dan's house was so that she can drive by and make sure that the job was done, because there were liquor stores by her house. And she's like, no, I had a party to go to. Okay. Mary Larkin says to Kimmy Locker, so sorry for asking so many questions. How does the whiskey play into it? It can play into it a couple of different ways. As you can see, me and Kimmy interpreted it differently. But the whiskey or the bourbon was for allegedly it was for her friend's party. But also to me, it was for an alibi, but jurors could see it as like a celebration. I don't know why she would buy it like in the middle of the day for a celebration, but maybe there was an alleged celebration dinner at a sushi's restaurant. So maybe that might be kind of crossing over for us, for some of us. Okay. Cheryl C says bourbon is whiskey. Oh, but whiskey isn't bourbon. If that makes sense. I've heard that before. Bullet is a brand that makes bourbon. It's a decent bourbon, actually, LOL. Okay, thank you for that. I'm like, oh. Kimmy Locker says to Cheryl C. Right, I misspoke by saying whiskey instead of bourbon, but okay. Koala Equality says, oh, I didn't know that to Cheryl C. I've heard that before, but I don't really, I mean, I drink a little bit of whiskey here and there, but I'm not like a connoisseur or anything. Kimmy Locker says, Wendy Adelson purchased Bullet Bourbon shortly after the time her husband was shot. Breeze interpreted it as being used for an alibi, but I'm interpreting it as a celebration. Yes. And she is interpreting it as she was buying it for her friend's party. Yep. Thank you for that, Kimmy. Cheekiness, or what was that? Whiskey instead of bourbon, but cheekiness? I don't know if that's what you meant. Cheryl C says to Kimmy Locker, Bullet makes rye whiskey too, if I remember correctly, just to make it more confusing, right? Kimmy Locker says the defense specifically pointed out that, but the receipt was the state's evidence. Yes. I don't think what they were doing, what the state was doing with the receipt was tying her to that location. Why would you go to the store by your ex-husband's house when you have all of these stores around? Because she needed to go by the ex-husband's house to make sure that the crime was done. But it gives her a reason to be in the area because she was going to the liquor store. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Kimmy Locker says, so I thought defense hammering home the fact that it was for stock the bar was an attempt to rehabilitate. Yes. I think it can go a lot of ways. I really think it can go a lot of ways. And maybe I misinterpreted it. I could be wrong, but I took it as an alibi. Tiny says, spicy Bree, we are spicy tonight for sure. Kimmy Locker says, Bree, what do you think the state submitted it as evidence if it was an alibi for her? No, so I don't think that it wasn't. I think she used it as an alibi for herself. The state used it as, okay, you were by Dan's house for no particular reason at all, because you could have went to any other liquor store in Tallahassee. And in fact, there were closer liquor stores to your house than the one by Dan's house. However, you wanted to make sure that the job was done. So you took the long way around because there was a straight shot for her to get there. That was, I think, 10 minutes, but she took a 20-minute route to get there, right? So I think what they're submitting it for was kind of like, okay, you went to the crime scene and you didn't call anyone, you didn't check on anyone, your family had something to do with it because you saw the crime scene, right? If she would have just went straight to the liquor store, it probably would not have been an issue to even point out. But the fact that she went the long way around to pass Dan's house, that's the issue there. Not necessarily the receipt, but it also does come off as sneaky, in my opinion, for her to say, hey, look at me, I have a receipt and I was at this store, so this is why I was by his house. You know, and then the defense rehabilitating and saying, oh, no, she had to stock the bar party. That's not bad that she bought the whiskey, you know, but why did she buy it by Dan's house is the question. Tiny says, make sure you hit the like button for more spicy Bree. Thank you very much. Kimmy Locker corrected the thing. I was like, let me figure it out. Mary Malarkey says to Kimmy, the celebrations are too much. Yeah, they claimed that they had a whole celebration dinner. Equality says, Bree giggle is too cute. Oh, thank you. And then Tiny says it is cute. Now I'm like, and now I feel awkward for giggling. Okay. Do you guys want to go back into the prosecution? I know I got like way off track. Y'all, we hit 30 likes already in the stream. So thank you. Shout out to the live stream watchers tonight. Love to see it. Yes. Do you guys want to jump back into prosecution, or do you kind of want to see the little I don't know. Do we want to call it spice of Rashburn, whatever his name is? I keep messing it up at this point. Let's look a little bit more at prosecution. I know y'all just asked a question. I just asked y'all a question, and now I'm just going to play something, and then let's see. Let's see a little bit more of what my homegirl has to say, and then we'll go.
In Markel's answer on page 80, he seeks continued equal time sharing in Tallahassee. He seeks sole parental responsibility on issues related to the education, religion, and medical upbringing of the kids. Then we go to this May email from Donna Adelson. to Wendy. These emails are offered as examples of how invested Donna Adelson was in this litigation and in Wendy's life in general.
And so we talked a little bit about mom being kind of the driving factor about that. And this is what she's sending emails to Wendy telling her how, look, info regarding his memorandum of law. She read the pleadings and she's offering her lawyer daughter advice on how to handle advice on how to handle it. And let me correct myself. Earlier I said I think that Dan is a lawyer or was a lawyer at the time, and I think he actually was, because he hired a lawyer that was not familiar in family law, which could be its own issues. And the person referring him to this attorney said, oh, don't worry, he's a lawyer, so he can teach you whatever you need. Yes. Rash burn, rash bum. I don't know. Either way you say it, it sounds bad. It sounds like something you don't want. A rash burn or a rash bum. I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead and get into what does mom think Wendy should do in order to get her kids.
They revealed that relocation was a huge priority for Donna, and that it was also a high priority for Wendy, Harvey, and the defendant as well. Wendy testified that her mom really wasn't that involved in her divorce proceedings. Again, these emails prove the opposite was true. On May 3rd, 2013, this email references Dan's divorce filing as, quote, his 23-page rant. She then crystallizes the importance of relocation, stating, the most important part of your divorce is relocation, in bold. I sincerely hope that your attorney understands this is your, all caps, non-negotiable. She needs to hear from you how serious you are about this and how it will benefit the children with a close-knit family support system, as well as your significantly better paying job. But on June 21st, 2013, Wendy's motion to relocate was denied by the court.
But my thing is, it doesn't even matter because you have 50-50. They're not going to have the kids move because you could have a better job somewhere else when dad has 50-50 and maybe get in full legal custody from what he requested. Now, it would be different if if dad only saw the kids every other weekend and mom could have had a better job in Miami. She would have been more likely to succeed on that motion. But the fact that they had 50-50, they both are working as professors, there's no reason for the kids to move. So, her better job and grandma thinks she's so smart. That wouldn't really persuade a judge, in my opinion, and I practice this kind of law. Oh, she can have a significantly better paying job if she moved 200 miles. I don't know how exactly far it was. If she moved away, she could have a better job, but who cares? Because dad already has a better job and they have 50-50. If he saw him 2 hours a week or every other weekend, then yeah, sure, make that argument. But you have 50-50. So what are you talking about? Let's go on.
With the court finding that the wife has not met her burden of proof that a relocation is in the best interest of the minor children. Like the heroine in her book, Wendy and the boys were officially stuck in the small stop on the way.
And what they don't highlight, which I just read because when I was looking at this before, this is denied with prejudice, meaning mom cannot bring this motion back. You cannot bring the motion back. So yeah, I see, not that I see why they resulted to this, but she couldn't leave at that point. Grandma, which probably would have been the better option, is just to move down to Tallahassee if you want to see your grandkids that much, which I don't know. Do people see their grandkids that much? I don't know. But yeah, that was denied with prejudice. So she can't bring that motion back. The kids are staying in Tallahassee.
To what we had previously known as civilization. Wendy worked hard to try to convince you that none of this was a very big deal to her.
They should have pointed that part out. I would have pointed that out with prejudice. So she couldn't move the kids. Like, why did they not highlight that?
Her mother or her brother. And she said she was expecting to win everything in the divorce. She was expecting Danny to lose everything in the divorce. She was partly right. Danny did end up losing everything, but not in court. She had already lost relocation, and her attorney had to get off the case as a result of whatever Danny was filing in court. And he was poised to really take her through the ringer with this grandma motion, the fraud allegation, and the contempt motion that was all pending. Even if he wasn't going to be successful, folks, it was going to be a very unpleasant ride for Wendy Adelson. But as we have learned, gibbers hadn't beaten the Adelson family yet.
This guy is doing.
On the stand, Wendy Adelson suggested that relocation was not a big issue for her. It was just suggested by a friend, but the other evidence in the case suggests the opposite. Jeffrey Lacoste says she was a complete mess over the litigation, especially the relocation. She wrote a book about a human rights attorney who was stuck in a small town in the Florida Panhandle because of her hapless Canadian professor husband's job at NFSU. And maybe most importantly, Wendy filed this motion for relocation. Her lawyer didn't file it without her knowing. Was the motion doomed from the start? Wendy clearly hoped not. But there were other ways to skin the cat. Here's a June email from Donna to Wendy. In response to the court order denying relocation, Donna emails Wendy, quote, "It's time for action. It's time to take control of your life and not let Gibbers think he's won anything by having you remain in Tallahassee."
Oh, and they also started making fun of him and calling him Gibbers. I don't know what Gibbers meant, but it was supposed to be a mean nickname behind his back. So let me see. Equality says, what does she have in her right hand? It's a clicker. So basically, as she's talking, she's pulling up those documents that they occasionally show us. It's kind of like a PowerPoint presentation that she has going on. And so that remote is to click her PowerPoint presentation. Let's see here. Kimmy Locker says, if she did buy a bullet with the intention of being her alibi, that's a whole nother layer of arrogance. I think it was a part of her alibi. I think it was. I think it was, it could not have been me because I was at the liquor store down the street from my husband's house or my ex-husband's house. I don't know how good of an alibi it was. You would have to get pretty close within the time frame, which luckily the prosecution was able to do because of bus footage. That surprised me. I did not realize, but it makes sense that buses record the street when they're driving down the street. That was very interesting to me. So where was I going with that? Yeah, so I feel like it was a part of the alibi, maybe not the main part, because I think the main part of the alibi was getting the TV fixed, which was stupid as heck. But yes. Kimmy Locker says the grandparents were allegedly in the process of buying a home in Tallahassee at the time Dan was killed. I thought it was, I thought they were saying Wendy was in the process of buying a house in Tallahassee and or looking to rent. But I could be wrong. I might have missed that part. Equality says, what does she have in her right? Oh, I already got that one. It's the clicker. Kimmy Locker says, question, does being dismissed with prejudice mean she couldn't file another motion to relocate to South Florida near her family, or any motion to relocate like Atlanta as a random example? I didn't read the whole sentence. I did just see that it was denied with prejudice, but I don't know if it was specifically to Miami or if she could go somewhere else. Typically, the court cannot say, okay, you can never bring a motion to relocate ever again because, okay, what if Dan has some kind of, drug addict spell and he loses custody of the kids and he's harassing mom and mom needs to move out of the county? I don't think that they can deny it forever, but I will say I was not able to read the entire sentence about the denial with prejudice. And I really don't want to skip back because I don't want to lose our place. Let's see here. Mary Malaki says, I hope the children's paternal side are allowed to see the children. I can't imagine what was fed to the children about their father. Oh, they removed his last. Oh, that we haven't even talked about that. About a year after the murder, she changed their last name to Adelson. So the children do not even have the dad's last name anymore. She alleged that it was because of all of the news articles and people were able to recognize her kids. Other people think otherwise. She did it because she did not want any trace of him on their kids, including the last name, even though they probably have some of his features. But they wanted to remove his last name from the children's name. Also makes them look even more guilty, in my opinion. And there was some struggles between the paternal grandparents and paternal side seeing the children. Wendy say that they see them a lot now. However, there was an issue with being able to see them when I believe the grandparent said something about she did it for insurance money. Oh, no, that the children go to foster care because Wendy is likely to be arrested in this. And the grandparents were saying this early on in the case. And so they had a little bit of a spat there of her saying, no, my kids don't belong. She was very adamant about this too, saying, oh, my kids don't belong in foster care. They don't belong in foster care. Prosecution tried to, they tried to establish that, they only wanted them in foster care for the purpose of, until they could get there. And she's like, I don't know about that. All I know is they wanted them in foster care and they don't need to be in foster care because they have a mother and I don't have anything to do with it. Okay, let's see. Kimmy Locker says, I get what you're saying, Bree, but she could have bought any other brand. Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying. The actual brand bullet. I didn't even think about that. I missed any type of, and let you guys know, I was doing this while cleaning. I missed any kind of reference to the brand. I didn't even real, and you kept putting it in capitals, but I'm just thinking you wanted me to know it was the brand. I did not even think about that. That's an aha freaking moment. Bullet whiskey or bullet bourbon. That's wild. That adds another layer of cockiness, in my opinion. Wow. Kimmy Locker says she was 2. Kimmy Locker says both Wendy and her parents were allegedly in the market for Tallahassee homes. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. And they should have just moved to Tallahassee, okay? Instead of doing all of this. I hate cases like this. Like, it's ridiculous. Well, I hate any murder cases, but like, it makes no sense. And I hope they freaking go to jail. I'm upset that Wendy got to live her life as long as she did after this. Yes. So let me go back to, let's see. I can't remember everything she said because this was long. So let's watch a couple more minutes of her, and then we'll jump into Rashburn, and then we'll go from there.
8 hours away from the only family you have. Let's show this F ... what will make him absolutely miserable. And later, the rest of your life, and consequently, Dad's, mine, and yes, even Charlie's, will be affected by how well you can perform/act before July 31st. You can be a good actress when you want to. I've seen you in action. You need to put on the performance of your life. Jibbers hasn't beaten the Adelson family yet. Then on June 25th,
did y'all catch that? Her mama told her she better be the best actor in court that she can be. So they are constantly manipulating the situation, manipulating the court. Wendy's using her, sorry about it, white woman tears in court, and getting the things that she wants in the divorce. And her mom is encouraging it.
Continued that.
How did this get in? As hearsay. This is hearsay. This is hearsay, but somehow it's still getting in.
An email, we get a plan of action. Take a photo of the boys dressed nicely standing at the front door by the sign of the Tallahassee church. They're Jewish, remember? Then change your Facebook status to this one so everyone will see this. Perhaps a line under the photo with "New Beginnings in Tallahassee" might be nice. How happy do you think you would be? Make arrangements to get the boys caught up with a private tutor at the Teenage Catholic Church who will come to the house to teach the young men about Jesus. If you don't have time to arrange this, I'll be happy to do it for you. Let Jibbers know that your children will be baptized in the Catholic Church, and you'll certainly invite him to the event. I've already checked this out, and the baptism can be arranged within 2 weeks. We can send out e-bites to Jibbers, his parents, sister, and anyone else you want to invite. 4, I'm looking into summer camp programs for the boys. We will pay for it, even if the boys end up only going for the few days that they're in Tallahassee with you. 5, register them for toddler classes at the church. I've looked into this too. Even if they don't actually go, we can show Jibbers that they are enrolled for the fall semester. And you cannot tell anyone this is an act. Take control from him. Get to him psychologically. He's going to want you to stop this. You have one final opportunity to make him angry. We want him ticked off so he realizes that he could lose control over his kids. We plan to make a financial offer to him to allow this relocation. You need to work this plan, and we'll help you through it so that it may affect how much we offer him. Maybe he's willing to let you relocate if he knew his children could attend this private Hebrew academy. Or perhaps he'd like them to invite him to a Christmas party at their other Sunday school. Let's get this going now. I know you would never want to think that you didn't do absolutely everything you could to come down to your family. Dad and I have changed our lives this year to support you and assist you and the boys in every possible way. Charlie has accepted the loss in office business income for us to do this because he loves you and wants only the best possible future for you. It's time for you to show us that you can put on the performance of your life for the next few weeks. And then on June 27th, she follows up with another email along the same lines, criticizing the judge and Wendy's attorney and adding, obviously the court isn't out to help you. It's clear since Judge Hobbs' last ruling that she could care less about anything you have to say on your behalf. You need to help yourself. You know, Wendy, most of the wars that have been fought for the last couple of thousand years have been fought over religion. These emails are such telling glimpses into the family dynamics behind this murder. This email is just an example of how relentless Donna Adelson was. And it's clear from these emails that she's conferring with the defendant on these plans that she's proposing. Charlie brought up a good point when he said that Americans were dropped behind enemy lines during World War II wearing Nazi uniforms to get what they wanted. They had a job.
Okay, they were going all into the religious aspect of everything. So basically what they're doing is like signing them up for a religion situation, either against what is his name, Markel, or in the same religion that he wants, so that he'll be more motivated to allow them to go to this Jewish school, right? Or this Christian school that I can't remember which one Markel was, but either way, to go to the school that Markel would have wanted him to go to with the religion. So they're basically trying to manipulate the whole situation. I'm right there with Tiny D. Mom is so manipulative. She's too involved. She needs a hobby. Okay, she's way too involved. Mary Malarkey says, wow, I look forward to Donna being on the stand. This woman, I don't think Donna testified. I'm not all the way through the trial, but I don't think Donna testified. Kimmy Lockett says both Wendy and her parents were allegedly in the market. Oh, I already got that one. Equality says toxic mom. Yes, she's very toxic. Okay. She goes on to kind of talk about some of the things we talked about. They go into the whole murder plot. Him still being in this relationship with this girl who he claims is blackmailing him, but he still loved her. He's telling him, I'm so lucky to have you in my life. I love you, all of these things. But he's claiming that he's being blackmailed by Catherine McBanois. She goes on to say, Catherine McBanois, she lied in her trial, but she really has no reason to lie here. But at the same time, she also has an appeal up. So she may or may not have reason to lie. So this part, okay, let's go over here. Where did that go? Oh my gosh. Okay, I wanted to show you guys the little map. Okay, here we go. I said we're going to get out of her stuff, but we're not yet. We're not getting out of there yet. So I wanted to show you guys the map I was talking about with
position that there was something going on.
She will explain, because like I said, I was working while listening to this. Maybe she will explain a little bit more about the whole bourbon thing that we were just talking about.
At her kid's house. The house where they lived with their father. And what did Wendy Adelson do upon encountering this roadblock and observing?
Let me go back a little bit more. Let it load a little bit. So they're talking about when she pulled up on the roadblock, which I thought that happened after buying the whiskey, but maybe it was, I think it was before. No, wait. I thought it was after buying the whiskey, but maybe it wasn't. And she used going by the house as an excuse to go buy the whiskey. I think I confused myself, but let's see. Oh gosh, now it's loading and it won't, load because I'm skipping around too much. Okay, let me see if we have, let me pause it. Come on, Bree, let's get it together. Maybe I need to leave it alone. Okay, let me give it some time to try to figure. Oh.
Said happened, could not have happened.
I'm offline. Did I get offline for you guys? It was showing loading on my end. Did I get kicked off of YouTube? Okay, let's see. Mary Malaki says, I'm hoping she would testify down the road, hopefully in her own trial. What did you mean by that, Donna? Kimmy says to Mary Malarkey, I can't imagine a situation in which Donna would have to testify. And she wouldn't have to testify in her own trial, but hopefully she does. Okay, let's go back into it. I'm sorry if you guys lost.
Instead, the roadblock was all the way down here by the blue dot. The blue, I've got two blue dots. The one at the top left of the page there is where the roadblock was, that yellow line, three to five houses down from the scene. Trescott in Centerville is all the way down where the other yellow car is. Visible from the roadblock that she approached and was observed doing so by Officer Brandon were multiple law enforcement vehicles, marked vehicles. There was crime scene tape up. There was a marked vehicle with an officer stationed at the perimeter. It was visible from that position that there was something going on at her kid's house, the house where they lived with their father. And what did Wendy Adelson do upon encountering this roadblock and observing that the police were present on the street where her kids lived? She turned around and proceeded to the liquor store to pick up her bullet bourbon. And the defendant says, well, this is another coincidence because she was asked to bring it to a party. Well, maybe. But the timing of the purchase and the fact that she went out of her way to go by the crime scene on her way to get the bullet bourbon should raise an eyebrow. But it's what she didn't do that's even more.
Okay, so did you guys see that map? So they weren't trying to make it an alibi, I guess. And maybe we can go, but no, we're not going back into all of the testimony. It's too much. Yeah, so they pointed out the fact that she took such the long route. I thought that she bought it before, before going to the crime scene, but it sounds like she bought it, I thought she bought it after I thought she bought it, before she went to the crime scene, but it sounds like she bought it after the crime scene to give her the excuse. I guess I confused myself, to give her the excuse to quote unquote drive past his house. But as you can see, there was a much shorter route to get there that she didn't need to go to. So let me try to catch it in time. Here we go. That is a different one. Let me get to the right map here. Okay, this one. So she could have went from here around the top to here. Way shorter than here, the purple line, all the way around so that she could go to why did she even turn right here? This road, does it even let out? I don't even think this road let out. I guess she could go this way and then let out. Why would she turn right there? That makes no sense. So she drove this way and said, oh no, a roadblock. Let me turn back around and go this all the way around. And then here's the liquor store. And then all the way over here to Mosaic, which was, I think, another liquor store or where she was going to the party. I can't remember. But she could have went to this liquor store over here. She could have went to this liquor store over here, right by, okay, Mosaic was the place she was going. So I remember now. So she was going here, but instead of going to this liquor store that's right across the street, she went all the way around, and she said because she knew about this ABC Wine and Spirit because she saw it by their house before. But does this girl not have Google Maps? It was 2014. They have Google Maps. You can search where's a liquor store next to where I'm going. Has she never been to Mosaic before? It makes no sense. Why would you go this? Oh, I want to go to this particular liquor store. Are they the only ones with that bourbon? That might have been a good excuse, but she says she doesn't drink. So let me know what you guys think. It gave her the excuse to stop by and say, okay, it's done. Let me go to the liquor store now. So Kimmy, you're right. It wasn't an alibi, but kind of an alibi to give her an excuse to go by there, I guess. I don't know why she would have needed to cut through this street, though. That was strange. Because I guess she could have cut through this street, then came back out here. No, it's stupid. The whole route is stupid, in my opinion. But yeah, there we go. Let's see where we are. Good night, Equality. Thank you for all the comments. Kimmy Locker says Wendy can theoretically be tried if the state develops more evidence over time, similarly to how they developed audio recordings in this one trial. Yes, of course, they can bring charges against her, especially from this, to say that her brother did it. They can use that as evidence. He's been convicted, right? Hello, J. Michael RN. Nice to see you again in the live stream. Another member of the channel. Mary Malarkey says, can Wendy still be charged? I think Kimmy already went over that. Someone on Court TV said the strategy may have been to do Charlie first, then Wendy. I think they're going to go Charlie, Donna, then Wendy. Because I feel like Wendy doesn't have a lot of evidence against her as far as the communication goes. Mom does, Dad not so much, but I think it's Donna, then Wendy. Tiny D says, hey to Michael. Everyone's saying hi to Michael, J. Michael. Kimmy Locker says, if anyone's next, I feel like it's going to be Donna. I agree. My legal opinion is that it's stupid, okay? The whole route is stupid. The whole defense is stupid. Where did these people come up with this plan? Like, this is not smart. First of all, it's not smart to kill someone so that you can move. That's the first not smart thing that you did. And now you're doing all this other stupid stuff around it. And 9 years later, you're still doing stupid stuff with a stupid defense, in my opinion. Let me see if I can find that now that we're kind of skipping around. Let me see if I can find the, what do you call it? What am I looking for? Okay, here we go. Ooh, right on it. So, as such, the parties stipulate to the denial with prejudice of the wife's petition to request to relocate with the children. This court does not find that wife has met her burden of proof that a relocation is in the best interest of the minor children. Okay, so this one is specifically referring to South Florida. So let's read the complaint like we do on the channel. This cause having come before the court on the petition of the wife to relocate with the minor children to South Florida, and the court having heard argument of counsel and testimony presented by the wife, and the wife having rested her case, does order in a judge as follows. This court does not find that wife has met her burden of proof that a relocation is in the best interest of the minor children. I think that they should have highlighted number 2. As such, the parties stipulate to the denial with prejudice. So she can't bring this argument to move to South Florida again. I think Kimmy, for your question, I think it would only apply to South Florida. I think that she could bring it maybe at a later date to move somewhere else. So South Florida is a pretty general area, so that probably wasn't a good idea. With prejudice? Then why did they stipulate to it if the court found that she didn't meet her burden of proof? That's strange. Stipulate means they agree, but normally when a court orders it, they just order it. You don't have to agree for it to be ordered. The wife to relocate with the minor children. They don't specify South Florida in this one, so that's interesting. The court orders the parties to mediation to resolve the remaining issues pending final hearing of this case, currently set for July 31st, 2013. July 31st and August 1st of 2013. Okay, so I'm thinking that is denied with prejudice in regard to the divorce, because I don't think the divorce was actually finished at this time. So like I said, she could probably bring it at a later date, but it will not go forward at the trial that's scheduled for July. Oh, I thought I was showing y'all the screen the entire time. It looks like it's not going forward at the trial, but I don't think that the court, and I could be wrong, but I don't think that the court can limit that forever. My understanding of it will either be that it's specifically to South Florida, and or it's just not supposed to go forward at the final trial of the case. So yes, that's my interpretation of it. I could be wrong. I don't practice in Florida and I wasn't at the hearing, so I don't know. First one says, Wendy says she still passes in front of her ex's house because she was still struggling with their divorce. Yeah, and she went there and bought Bullet bourbon that day, on the day that I assume she knew her ex-husband was planned to be killed. She also sent a message to him, I believe in June or so, asking him, are you going to be at home for this date through this date? He confirmed he will be there. Or could she visit the kids during his time or something of that nature? But he confirmed that he would be in town. Tanya D says, oh, wow. First one, she was really laying it on. Which one? I already forgot what I talked about. Which one? Okay, so we're done with Miss what's her name? Chapelson? I don't know her name. Okay, let's go on. I don't know why y'all listen to me on this internet. I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see where we're at with the defense. Okay, here we go. Mr. Rashburn coming on up for us. Look at Mr. Charlie.
As you go through the trial, you were told that you needed to evaluate the evidence through a lens.
In my opinion, he did a bad job. He was telling the jury, you can speculate. And the instructions literally say that you cannot speculate.
Lens of innocence, a presumption of innocence. Now, I think we did prove his innocence in this trial, but that isn't the standard. That's not what you go back there and deliberate. What you see in this trial is a mountain of reasonable doubt that arises from the evidence itself, from the conflict in the evidence, and from the lack of evidence. The state's first question to Mr. Adelson, when he was on the stand, was something called Occam's razor. Their first question was referring to their belief that the simple answer is the preferred answer. You might recall them asking that question, the very first question they asked Ms. Charlie. Occam's razor, that proposition that the simple answer is the preferred answer, is the exact opposite of what our criminal justice system is about. See, Occam's razor is a guess. We don't guess in this country. We don't assume people to be guilty. We presume them to be innocent. And sometimes the simple answer is the wrong answer. Sometimes things aren't so simple.
Okay, we get it. Move on.
And that's what we have in this case. I talked to you in opening about puzzle pieces. I talked to you in opening about how puzzle pieces wouldn't fit. And that's exactly what you saw repeatedly in this case. Just one of those puzzle pieces is enough for reasonable doubt. But here we have a mountain of them. And let's talk about them briefly. Government Exhibit 59. This is their conspiracy chart. The first puzzle piece that doesn't fit is motive. See, Charlie Adelson didn't have a motive to upend his life. Charlie Adelson had a good life. His business was booming. He was supportive of his sister, but he didn't wake up in the morning thinking about Professor Markel. He didn't go to bed at night thinking about the problems his sister was having. He was living his life.
But you think
Now,
that the killers
was it a bitter divorce? Absolutely. But through all of those crazy emails, are there any examples of any violence? None. Those emails, we spent about 10 minutes hearing about them this morning. Not Charlie's ideas.
Then why'd you
By the way, those emails
evidence?
weren't even done. You heard from Wendy Adelson. She never offered any of those things to Professor Markel. She never threatened him with any of those things. Crazy ideas? Yes. An upset mother? Yes. Pushing each other's buttons? Yes. But ladies and gentlemen, even the $1 million offer you heard, lawyers were consulted to make sure it was legal. A far cry from a murder. Their relocation motive. Relocation was denied a year before the murder. And by the way, Wendy Adelson and her 2 boys moving to South Florida would have no impact on Charlie Adelson. Would he be happy that they were there? Sure. Would it change his life?
By mommy.
No. Now, you may wonder, why did we spend so much time on cross proving Wendy Adelson's innocence?
Didn't prove her innocence.
The reason being
Tried to.
is because on their exhibit, take a look who is in their conspiracy. They circled her for you in their opening cross. See, they were guessing about Wendy just like they're guessing about Charlie. What the evidence showed is that Wendy wanted to leave South Florida. But when it was denied in the summer of 2013, she made a life here in Tallahassee. What the evidence showed, and remember, I tried to get an email after email after email, and they fought me on it. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself what they were afraid for you to see.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why his emails did not make it into evidence. Y'all are on a delay. I would ask you why it did not make it into evidence, but y'all are on a delay, so I'm going to go ahead and let you know. The reason why his emails that he tried to present to the jury did not make it into evidence is because they were hearsay and the prosecution objected. Like, he should have objected to these emails from Donna Adelson. He should have objected. Emails between Wendy and her mom, that's hearsay. Why did you not object? And maybe I missed something that they agreed for this to come in, or maybe it was within Dan's filings. But even so, it's hearsay of the emails that Donna sent to her daughter. This is not a statement against Charlie's interest because Charlie didn't make the statement. Why did these emails come in? Why are you not objecting? So he's trying to say, oh, the state did not want you to see the emails because, it had good information that would make you believe Wendy. No, it didn't. It was self-serving statements from Wendy were those emails. And he used them to prove the truth of the matter asserted, which is hearsay. And the prosecution said objection, hearsay. And what does Mr. Rashburn says? He goes, oh, it's present state of mind. The court goes, no, doesn't apply. Sorry, try again. So he could only use it to refresh her recollection. So that is why his emails didn't come in. Not because what Wendy was saying in the emails were true, because some of the emails was like, oh, my friend is moving to town. Hey, do you want to meet up when you move into town? Oh, I am so excited that you're moving in town because I also live in town. That is what the emails he were trying to admit said, okay, in totality. That's basically what the email said. And she wanted to prove with her mother's email saying, hey, you need to act. You need to act like you're staying in Tallahassee. You need to act like you're going to convert the religion of the boys. Put on the best performance of your life. So you don't think she's going to involve some random friends and say, oh, I'm so happy you're moving to Tallahassee. So because I live in Tallahassee too, woo, look at us in Tallahassee together. That proves nothing and it's hearsay and he should object it. And like I said, maybe I missed something as to how these emails got in. I don't see how Donna's emails overcomes hearsay. I just don't see how it overcomes hearsay. And maybe I missed something. I don't think I did though. I could have. I was cleaning. But I just don't see how they overcome hearsay. Donna talking to Wendy. Now, Wendy's statement on the stand, using it against her, that could be, but they're supposed to, you have to exclude everything that Donna said. I don't understand how he got in. And like I said, homeboy did not object to anything. He didn't object to anything. Nothing. Okay, let's go into it. Because my husband just got home. He's going to try to make me get off of.
You saw that she made appointments after the time of the murder. She made them before. You saw she made plane tickets from Tallahassee to other places in the fall and winter. You saw that she got a new divorce lawyer. You saw that she was making play dates. And significantly, you saw that the entire family was making plans to come up here and see her celebrated for her book at FSU with incoming students. Why is that significant? Because their theory, their simple theory, is that she was part of a murder.
Then why did she relocate the same
puzzle piece that does not fit? And we're going to talk about her trip down Trescott on the 18th, because that's a puzzle piece that they keep on trying to pound and doesn't fit, but we'll do that a little later. The next puzzle piece that doesn't fit.
Exactly. First,
who had the kids?
Trial, there's no reason that should have came.
See, one thing that the state and the defense can agree on is that the Adelsons love these two boys. But they would have you believe that they hired hitmen twice. And both times, who had custody of the kids? They would take a risk that these boys would be injured, killed. Does that make any sense?
And now this is where I said, this is not a smart argument, Mr. Rashburn. This is not a smart argument. It makes more sense for the hit to be done while the kids are with Denmark or in Dan Markel's custody, because if they do it when it's in Wendy's custody, then it's going to make it look like Wendy planned this when the kids will not be at his house. What are you talking about? The fact that they're in his custody, the killer literally got on the stand and said, he's a gang member. And for those of you that do not know about gang members, they have a code of conduct. They don't kill people kids, most of them. They don't kill people kids, and they don't do stuff in front of people kids. They have an honor system. And that killer had an honor system, and the first time they went, he said, I'm not doing it because the kids are there. So this argument is completely stupid. Oh, why would they do it while he has custody? Because they know that their killers are not going to kill him in front of his kids. The kids go to daycare. That's why they did it on a day that the kids were in daycare. The killers followed him to daycare and testified to watching the kids go into the daycare and then come out by himself. So they continued to follow him so they can complete the job while the kids were at daycare. So stupid argument, in my opinion, but okay, let's go on.
The June attempt. Remember, Wendy and Danny shared the kids 50-50. The June attempt, we learned from their witness, Luis Rivera, Danny had custody of the kids. Mm-hmm. And we learned that he wouldn't do the murder because the kids were there. Exactly. The July attempt, they show you a text message about Professor Markel being in town. And they show you a text message where Wendy's asking for the boys on the 16th. The murder's done on the 18th. Who has custody of the kids?
Again, she's asking for a complete date range so that she knows, okay, he's going to be in town on the 18th. Why, if she is planning on having him killed on the 18th, would she send a message to him saying, hey, are you going to be in town on the 18th? No, she made a date range. Are you going to be on the town for this day to this day? Okay, he's going to be in town for these days. Let's do it on this day. Why would she ask specifically for the date? Sorry, Rashburn, not a good argument. Not a good argument. I digress. Let's go on.
Professor Markel. It doesn't make sense.
It does make sense.
There is no chance if these people were behind the murder, they would take any risk that those boys would be in the crosshairs.
No, because they knew their killers.
Use your common sense. It's a puzzle piece that they cannot explain. And you know what else doesn't make sense?
Oh my gosh.
Is their alibi argument. So they make a big argument about this Best Buy repairman coming that morning, how it was set up for an alibi.
It was a Geek Squad.
The argument, by the way, makes absolutely no sense, because then they argue that Wendy purposefully went down the street of where she was supposed to get an alibi from. But let me ask you this question.
That part is a little sketchy.
Again, use your common sense.
On that one.
If the Adelsons and Charlie wanted to set up an alibi for not only Wendy, but themselves, why not do the murder on July 5th?
But they kind of set up a double alibi because they had the alibi of the actual TV thing going on, and then she was able to drive over after the TV thing, and she had an excuse for going that way for the liquor store when there was a liquor store right across the street from where she was actually going. So I see what he's saying. It is kind of sketch, but I think
when each and every one of them is at a birthday party for their father in South Florida, wouldn't that have been a better alibi?
Because they will all be each other's alibi.
They didn't do that because they're not behind the murder.
No, because
they didn't know what was going to happen. Alibi. They have nothing to do with it. It's a puzzle piece that doesn't make sense. It's reasonable doubt.
No, it's not. It's a stupid alibi. Look at the judge.
Sigfredo threatened Charlie. Now the state has them as co-conspirators. The testimony is clear. Sigfredo Garcia hated Charlie Adelson. The testimony is clear from their own witnesses that Sigfredo Garcia wanted to kill Charlie Adelson. In fact, you hear that on March 11th, 2014, just 8.5 weeks before the first attempt, you hear that Luis Rivera, that Sigfredo was stalking Charlie, and he wanted to run him over with his car. He wanted to kill him.
He is misrepresenting the testimony. He's misrepresenting the testimony. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of Catherine's testimony, so never mind. He may not be misrepresenting it. But yeah. Oh well. Let me get into some of the chats because this is just pissing me off. Okay. So let's see where we're at here. First one says, have you heard of the alternate that reached out to Rashbum and complained of jury misconduct? We did hear of the potential juror, the juror group chat, but we don't really know what the context is. And also Rashbum, I keep calling him Rashburn since Tanya put it in there. Rashbum keeps, he wrote a motion saying they don't know the context of the conversation yet, but they're going to be investigating into it. Mary Malarkey says, the jury ain't buying it, sir. Neither am I. I'm not buying it. I'm taking my money elsewhere. Kimmy Locker says the Rash Bum's website says he focuses his practice on white-collar criminal defense, internal investigations, regulatory enforcement, and quid litigation. So puzzle pieces. Yeah, he liked puzzle pieces, but I don't think he did a good job. I just don't think he did a good job, and that's coming from a family law attorney in California, but I think he did a really sucky job, in my opinion. But I think he also had sucky facts. He had really sucky facts. Tiny D says, no, because it wasn't their job to be violent. They hired someone to do it. Exactly. And then when they asked about the $1 million and they got turned down by attorneys, who's going to sit there and go, let me go consult with the criminal attorney? Hey, can I, kill my ex-brother-in-law so that my sister can leave? They might have said, hey, what happens if he just dies? I don't know. And maybe they didn't put it in email this time. Why are you guys putting so much stuff in writing is what I'm not understanding. First one says, no disrespect to Rash, but he got paid a lot of cash and displayed some bootleg chart. His puzzle pieces, you didn't like it? You didn't like the puzzle pieces? Tiny D says they consulted an attorney just as cover your protection. Exactly. It's like, oh, they asked the attorney about the $1 million. Why would they not ask the attorney about if they can kill him? Because most people know that you can't go around killing people. Like, what are you talking about? Mary, like it says, tell it, Brie. I know they're getting me feisty. I shouldn't have even covered his part of it because now he's pissing me off. First one says, besides, this is not Wendy's trial, it's Charlie's trial, which I commented on earlier. So that is really why I don't understand how Donna's emails got into evidence. Like, are y'all putting on a trial against Donna and Wendy? Are y'all putting on a trial against Donna and Wendy? Oh, maybe Donna's emails, but no. Yeah, I mean, I guess they could have gotten in for impeachment purposes because Wendy said that Donna was not involved in the trial, and then you get all of these emails talking about how involved Donna is in the actual, but they never impeached her. Ah, that's sneaky. That is sneaky. It could have gotten in for impeachment purposes. No. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna do a criminal trial. So let's see. Tiny says Bree is on fire tonight. I'm a little feisty. It's probably time for bed. Good morning to Stephanie S. Nice to see you in the live stream. Kimmy Locker says that did come up during Lewis' testimony. Did he say he was stalking them? Because I remember they did say they saw them at a restaurant. And he said that's the guy that's messing with his girl. But I don't remember them saying stalking particularly Charlie. And then Catherine kind of tied pieces together because I don't think Rivera was with him on the time where he cut them off in traffic. That Catherine dropped the kids off to him and then saw her in the car with Charlie. So I don't know if that would be counted as stalking. He might have been stalking Catherine, but stalking Charlie, I don't know. But like I said, I might have missed the testimony. Kimmy Locker says, I mean, the fact that Rash Bum's not a criminal defense attorney is a puzzle piece for that performance. Oh, yeah. It's a white-collar crime. So, and this had a lot to do with fraud. They had a fraud. No, it doesn't really add up. First one says, Rash is working with what he got, which is fantastical, mythical, off the rails, concocted story, a story Donna is gonna have to get straight in her head for her testimony. I agree with you there. He does not have the best facts, but he is zealously advocating for his client, and I can't support him, but I can support him for that. He shouldn't have took the case. Cheryl C says, time for me to head to bed. Have a great night, everyone. Well, thank you for stopping by in the live stream. Thank you for the comments. Saying good night to Cheryl C. Cheryl C says, I want to hear all about the jury group chat, but I need some sleep. We're not going into that today because I don't know enough about it. Kimmy Locker says, they sure tried impeaching Wendy with OK Cupid, though. Yeah, they did. But they never really did it. Here comes y'all employee that don't show up to work. Hello. You lit, man?
You got 10 minutes.
Okay. Y'all employee that don't show up. Miriam and Base says, hi, everyone. Hello and welcome into the live stream. Tanya D says, saying hi to Miriam and Base. Yeah, so he came and smudged my glasses per usual. Okay, let's see. First one saying, oh, yeah, he doesn't work. Yeah, so I don't know. They don't really have a lot of facts to work with, but his zealous advocacy is just kind of pissing me off. Like, don't take the case. Don't take the case. At least have it be something plausible. This doesn't even sound plausible. Okay, let's watch a few more moments of it, and then we'll get into kind of final comments. We're probably not going to get to the second.
He's going to do that 8 weeks before he does a murder for him? Makes no sense. But it gets worse. You heard testimony in this courtroom from repeated witnesses, both law enforcement and otherwise, that on July 1st, just 17 days before the murder, Sigfredo Garcia tried to run Charlie off the road, threatened him, left a threatening voicemail that he was going to kill him, left it with his dad, but thought he was leaving it for Charlie. It's just 17 days before the state wants you to believe he went and did a hit for him. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, don't kill me.
It's a puzzle piece that doesn't fit.
I'll help you.
Now, they'll come up here in rebuttal, and they'll probably say something like, Sigfredo didn't know what he was doing, Katie was siloing him of information. Ask yourselves if that makes any sense. Ask yourself if after the first attempt, he doesn't know exactly who he's killing. It's reasonable doubt, ladies and gentlemen. It's a puzzle piece that they cannot explain. The hitman joke. We learned in this trial that Charlie repeatedly made this off-color joke. And let me say something aside. You don't have to like Charlie Adelson. There are plenty of reasons not to like him. That doesn't make him a murderer. Now, this hitman joke, we learned that Charlie made it with people he hardly knew. That he made it repeatedly. We learned from their own witness that at a March 11th dinner, this is Jeff Lacoste, when he first met Charlie, Charlie made the joke. Ask yourselves, does it make any sense for a guy who is about to do a hit, about to murder someone, to go around town and advertise it?
Yes. For him, he's not
doesn't fit. Reasonable doubt. Ask yourselves, does it make more sense for Catherine Magbanua, a professional liar and con artist, to hear the joke, to hear the $1 million offer, and start to get ideas? They want to call it coincidences. It's not a coincidence. Criminals do not advertise what they are about to do.
But my thing is, okay, sure. Let's say Catherine came up with this idea, blah, blah, blah. Why was he talking to them so much during the actual murder, like picking up the rental vehicle, all of the things, driving down there? Why were they having so many conversations if this was a setup against him? I don't know. I feel like, no, whatever. The jury got it right, in my opinion. Let's give him a few more moments and see what else.
That makes no sense.
Story he comes up with here.
Reasonable doubt. Puzzle pieces that don't fit. Payment evidence. Ms. Kappelman mocked in her cross of Charlie that this was a murder by layaway.
There was a layaway.
Meaning that doesn't make any sense. We agree with her. It doesn't make any sense.
I think it does make sense because you can do a payment plan with someone that you know, that you hired to kill them, and they're okay with accepting payments rather than a lump sum. So,
murders for hire are not done by layaway. But you know what is done by layaway? Extortions. See, we learned in this trial that Catherine Magbanua got paid every month. She denied it. Their own witnesses proved it. We learned that she got paid $3,000 a month, $2K in cash and $1K in checks from the Adelson Institute. By the way, if Charlie's part of a murder, they're telling you how smart he is. Does it make any sense that he would create a paper trail of checks from his business to pay for the murder? It makes no sense. But aside from that, you heard from Special Agent Sanford. He has done around a dozen murder for hires. Never a payment over time. He's seen extortions like that, but never someone getting paid over time.
Again, he mischaracterizes the testimony. Him and that agent went back and forth and told him that they usually catch people before the murder actually happened. So no, it's not a payment over time, but sometimes it can be. But they usually catch people before. Usually when you see something like a payment plan, it's because it's someone that you trust. Yes, an extortion can be done that way too, but also accepting the payment over time is like, okay, I'm still in a relationship with you. I still need to take care of myself on a monthly basis. So how about you just pay me over time? So I don't think it's a strong argument. I'm done with him. I don't know if you guys are done with him. Of course, the Tallahassee Democrat is the one posting the live stream so that everybody can watch. So if you guys want to watch the rest of it on your own time, please do. Thank you all for joining me live. Let me see if there's any more chats regarding the case. And then once we cover that, we are going to be out of here for the night. Let's see. Tanya D says, even better way to cover up your tracks. Don't do the typical plan. Exactly. And my thing is, I feel like he was that arrogant that he thought he would get away with it. It's his girlfriend. No one's ever going to suspect it. I don't know why, but he did it. And he got away with it for a long time. So to even say, oh, why would anyone ever do that? I don't think it makes any sense. Let's see here. First one says, to me, does Charlie have to pay Rash again for an appeal, or is it included with the first trial, or does he get a discount? It really depends on his firm. I guess in criminal, a lot of them do appeals, but in some firms, they don't do appeals. Like personally, the firm that I work at, we do like prejudgment stuff. But if you want an appeal, we will not handle it because it's a very specialized area of law that you have to go through and meet certain deadlines. So I'm not sure if he's one of the attorneys that kind of contracts that work out, but most of the time, no, it's not done on a discount. Most of the time, it's not included in your trial price. You're normally paying by the hour when it comes to attorney's fees, especially in criminal law. So no, he will probably have to pay some more money to go ahead and pay for his appeal because we know he's going to appeal. And thank you, Tanya D, for gifting one Boss Attorney Bree membership. Well, I got to learn how to use my goddamn soundboard I done bought. Let me see where my thingy is. Where my sounds at? Yay! Yeah, we have a new member, and it is Stephanie S. So welcome to the Boss Attorney Bree membership. I forget what it's called because we haven't had a new member on live. Got a new member on live in a very long time. So thank you, Tanya D, for gifting that Boss Attorney Bree membership. Oh, it got off my screen. So, yep. Thank you. Okay, y'all. That is all that I have for tonight. We are going to be working on getting a slideshow together for everyone so that we can kind of go through each witness, what their testimony was. Hopefully, I don't get too feisty about things. And hopefully, I don't know if I'll be able to finish 4 days over the next 2 days, but hopefully I will be able to get through a little bit more of the trial, especially at least get through Charlie's freaking testimony so that we can talk about it on the next live stream. Thank you everyone for joining me live. I will see you on Thursday, and I hope everyone has a good rest of their week. Bye.